Hey guys, it is a frosty spring morning here in northwestern Ontario, and it's time to start looking at some of our outdoor projects that we've got planned for this summer. We got the 1950 Buick, 53 Monarch, a couple of Ford Coupes that we're going to need to do something with, and a 1959 Jeep CJ5. This is what I want to look at today. One of the problems that we have, though, is we're kind of missing a drivetrain here, or at least missing an engine. What do you figure, guys? Does this look like something that'll work in that Jeep? What we have here is a Kubota V2203 Diesel engine. It's out of a reefer unit, and a company that is fairly local to me called Overland Diesel sells installation kits to put these into Jeep products. Let's see if we can get this thing to fire up and run today. This engine came out of a scrapped reefer unit, and I got it for a pretty decent price. It's got about 20,000 hours on it, give or take. Fuel filter was changed in December of 24, and it's got 17,000 on it, and the oil filter was after that, and it's got over 20,000 on it. So I'm going to say somewhere between 20 and 25,000 hours. But these engines should be good for, 100,000 hours from what I understand, and are fairly inexpensive to rebuild from what I understand. They are apparently fairly easy to rebuild if they do require it. But what I'd like to do today is give this thing a little bit of a going over, show you guys what we've got to do, and see if it'll fire off. One thing I do know is the shutoff lever is seized. That's going to need to be fixed before we can try and fire things up. Also, this is the throttle, and it is fixed at a specific spot because this ran at a fixed 2800 RPM or whatever they ran it at in the reefer unit. Let me get some things organized here, and we'll start tearing into this and see what we got to do to get it to fire up. What do we have to work with here? Let's see. We've got fuel, which appears to be a supply and a return. Maybe we'll undo those compression fittings and just kind of let them sit loose, and we'll shove them into the top of the diesel tank here. We've got an exhaust that's pointed straight up, so we're probably going to have to open the garage door here, and so that most of the smoke goes out. The fuel line comes in to, this is the primer pump, this is the diesel pump. I think we're going to end up bolting this fuel filter assembly here, if we can, just so that it's mounted to something, not just floating around. I've already checked the oil. The oil pan is full. It's black. It's well used, but it is full. We've got a label here telling us not to use starting fluid because there's a grid heater in here and that could cause a fire. But if we don't hook up the grid heater, then we don't have to worry about it. We could use starting fluid, although I'll have to find some. The big thing that we've got to sort out here before we get going too far, though, is we've got to free up this shut-off solenoid and the throttle, because we don't want the thing to fire up and start running at 2800 or 3000 RPM and do any damage. I think what we're going to end up doing is setting it so that it goes back to a reasonable idle. And I think that is this screw here. We'll pull it back. I do have a little bit of paperwork that I got from Greg at Overland Diesel, so I'm going to go and just double check that. This is the shutoff solenoid, and I think we have to put power to it to get it to get the engine to start. And anytime it's running, this has to be powered. As soon as you take the power off of this, I believe it engages the plunger and shuts the engine off. Possibly what we can do is just take that right off of the unit and run with the manual shut-off, but we're going to have to free that up. That should move, but it doesn't get used in the reefer, and who knows how many years old this thing is, because the label happens to be gone. So I'm going to take a wild leap and guess that we're going to have to take these 4 bolts, nuts, whatever, off of there, get this shut-off plunger out and free it up. Let me go double check the paperwork to make sure that I've got this straight in my head. Also, it conceivably could be seized as well because, as you can see, it's wired at 1 RPM. And then we'll start tearing this shut off and throttle assembly apart, get everything lubricated and working properly. I'll bring you back in a few minutes. We've got our fuel shut off. I've started loosening the bolts on it, and 3 of them are loose, but the 4th is being difficult, and as you can see, that one doesn't want to move. I could put a pair of channel locks on there and try and loosen it up, but I think that's asking for trouble. We want to take it out and lubricate it properly so that we don't break anything. This is our throttle assembly, and this is our low idle speed adjust. So it would be cranked right up, and then this is our max speed, max no load speed adjust. And in the vehicle, if we want to give it a little bit more RPM, this would be our adjustment. This absolutely needs to get backed off so that we can idle this thing down. So what do we want to do next? I'm going to grab a pair of side cutters, snip this nice little sealed wire off of there, and we'll back off that idle, make sure that we can move the throttle. And then I'm going to have to, I think, pry up on that a little bit and see if we can get a box in on this nut. This is, it's kind of weird. We got nuts on this side, or sorry, we got bolts on this side, but nuts on this side. So, okay. Yeah, that's not gonna break that loose. I'll be right back. Okay. So 10. Yeah. We want to be careful that we don't break off any more of these bolts. I already broke one off there because we've got steel and aluminum don't necessarily play well together. And I don't know what a good idle speed is for that. Oh, and that's just what I figured. We are seized. There we go. Let's see if we can convince this to move a little bit. I want to be careful. I don't want to mess things up, but that one does not want to move. Okay. Might be enough to get in there now. Oh, so close. There we go. So there's our shut off. I think we're gonna have to put that in the vise and work it back and forth a little bit and see if we can get the shaft to free up inside this aluminum housing. Well, we got the cap off though. Be careful that we don't drop anything in there. Can you guys see that? There we go. Okay. Let's see what Mr. Solenoid does when we hook 12 volts up to it. Well, the good news is we'll be able to control the run and start, or run and stop from the solenoid. Let me take this over to the vise and I'll see if I can convince it to come apart. I'll bring you guys back in a bit. Well, that sure went sideways in a hurry. So the good news is that we got the shut-off lever working. The bad news is that I broke the piece, and I've taken the X1 Pro laser and just used it in welding mode, but without any filler metal, and just painted over the crack. And you know what? I think it's done a fairly decent job of fusion welding that thing back together. I will see if I can get another one, but in my quick look online, I was unable to find one. So hopefully this is going to do the job and not crack as soon as I snug up the bolts. Now we might end up with a little bit of leakage around that. Around the base of that piece. So we might have to hit it with a little bit of silicone or some kind of gasket maker to take up any minor differences in the thickness or misalignment in the thickness of the piece. But you can imagine that I was not a happy camper when I heard that thing go snap. Kind of ruined my afternoon a little bit. But then I thought, well, what about cleaning it up? There's a little bit of oil on it. Cleaning it up, and I was thinking of TIG welding it. Well, of course, the gas off my TIG welder is hooked up to the laser welder right now. So I said, well, why not give the laser welder a try? Okay. Now the spring is a little... Oh, seems to be working. So now if we give this that shuts the engine off. In theory, at least. Get the governor control loosened up here a little bit. That's in theory wide open. That should be back at idle. Well, that turned into a much bigger undertaking than I was expecting it to, but we got that taken care of. I guess we can see if we can get this thing to prime up. I've just shoved the feed and the return into the jerry can over there. And this, I mean, you can't really see it very well, but apparently this is the priming pump. And this, I think, is a bleed. That is, of course, stuck. Be very careful because that's a plastic knob. We don't want to break it. Okay. Well, let's give this a few. And as you can see, we're drizzling fuel all over the place here. What do you figure? should we give this thing a try? Almost out of daylight outside, and I'm going to lose the light if I open the big door. Let me put you on a stand and we'll see if we can convince this thing to turn over and see what it does. We can always shut it off if it fires up. And yes. Take the rag out of the intake that I was using to keep from having anything else fall in there. Okay. Woo! Let's see what happens. But I figure, guys, have that handy just in case. And you jumper wire across there. Ah, there we are. Terminal on the starter, not that wire. Well, that doesn't sound good. I'm going to guess that our battery's not real well charged. Either that or these just aren't very good jumper cables. That's a possibility too. This battery charger that I'm using is not the greatest in the world. It is just a 10 amp. It's not got the start mode. I think it's the jumper cables that are bad. I do know that these are light duty ones, and we are trying to start a diesel. Let me go see if I can find my better ones. I think they're out in either the Monarch or the Buick. I'll be right back. And that's shutting it off with my shut-off lever. Oh yeah. Well guys, what do you think? You can kind of see my laser welding in on the top of this cover. That is totally cool. I kind of got the idle turned up so that it idles smooth. It doesn't do that surging thing, and seems to run all right. The exhaust manifold's not even warm, so I definitely haven't heard anything running it without any coolant, I don't think. I think we're going to call that a success. This thing is ready to start the modifications to get it mounted in the Jeep. Unfortunately, I don't think that is going to happen anytime real soon, but hey, I got this thing, so I figured we'd give it a try and see what it was going to take to get it running. Didn't take much. Thanks a lot for stopping by. Greatly appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. This was a fun one, once I got over the frustration of breaking that cover. If you got this far in the video, give me one of those thumb up things, give me a like, another success. If you haven't already done so, consider subscribing to the channel. I'd love to have you come back. Lots more content working on these old junkers. We got this little project, we got this little project, and a whole bunch more. Anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next mess.